What's good, YouTube? I'm Quasar.
And I'm Nova.
And we're the
Chronomaly Kings. Alright, for this video, we're going to be discussing deck building.
So, building a deck, you want to build it between 40 and 60 cards using monsters, spell, and traps. You can use any combination of however many monsters, spell, and traps you want, as long as it fits into 40 to 60 cards.
No more, no less.
And we also want to advise you that being as close to, or if exactly 40 cards as possible. So, like, if you have 40 cards, you have the best chances of drawing into the cards you need.
Yeah.
So try to keep your deck as close to, or if not equal to, 40 cards.
I'd say, like, the most you really want to have is, if you can't decide, is like 43. Anything more than that, you start to, like, run out of consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
So, first off, the first thing we want to talk about for building the deck itself is going to be, you have to decide on the archetype.
Yeah, pretty much archetypes are the kind of the style of you, how you play, and like...
Kind of this, you can't... If you want to be a little bit more competitive in the game, you have to choose an archetype.
Mm-hmm. You can't
just slap a little bit of this, a little bit of that together anymore. Not like it used to be. So we have archetypes such as Constellar, Tellarknights, Chronomaly,
and even Odd Eyes.
So we got the new Perform Pal Odd Eyes deck. But now some things to choose also is like if you choose decks such as Tellarknights or Odd Eye or Tellarknights or Odd Eyes or even the Constellar, you want to find something that will also work with the deck.
Yeah, exactly. Like a certain engine that'll help, like, speed it up.
Such as...
make it more consistent.
For Tellarknights and Constellar, we both use...
Star
Seraphs.
They were a great engine that allowed us to maintain hand consistency because we continued to draw cards through the Star Seraphs. And the Scepter also destroyed cards and allows you to draw again. So it's like free pluses, essentially.
And then you can make Deltaros and put Diamond on top of him, which shuts down dark decks. So that was a really good engine. It worked with helping out both decks. So very good.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that could be looked at is the Odd Eyes deck. You play Performer Pals.
Yeah, Magicians, Pendulums, and of course Odd Eyes. Yeah.
With that, and it makes up a deck, right? So if you're going to choose, make sure you picked an archetype and then cards that can support the archetype.
Yeah, exactly.
Such as, like, if you're building dragons, you want to keep dragons.
Yeah, and a bunch of dragon support, right? Because there are a lot of different spells and traps that help you, like, search. You can send cards to graveyard. You can special summon them from graveyard, which actually helps speed it up because a lot of dragons are really powerful, high level. So it's difficult to drop them from your hand. So that's sort of how dragons usually work.
Now, also something to be noted here is if you decide on a deck, it doesn't you don't have to merge another deck with it.
Exactly.
Like you can find things such as galaxies or photons. They're pretty much the same thing, but you can build a pretty good deck with just those with just the cards in the archetype and staples, of course. Just trying to think of any other deck that you can play. Fire Fists can be just a solid deck.
Yeah, just pure Fire Fist.
So you don't have to choose another engine that'll work with it. Mm-hmm. It's really just what you want. Anyway, once you decided, there's certain cards you definitely want to have in every deck.
Yeah.
Such as Regeki.
Because that card just nukes everything on your opponent's side of the field.
MST, definitely.
Because that card just pops any spell or trap card.
Yeah, if you can't fit in all three of them,
you want to be siding the other ones.
You want to be siding the other ones, definitely. Mm-hmm. Book of Moon, if you have the room.
Also really good because it stops chain links. It can stop monsters from attacking. It can stop Xyz summons and Synchro summons.
It's very versatile.
It's very useful.
What else are we looking for? You play Foolish Burial if the deck has stuff that trigger engrave that activate when they're sent to the graveyard, or cards that help you if you have a certain card engrave.
Mm-hmm.
You can use Foolish Burial for that.
And then for traps, you'd want to be playing like the new Solemn Strike that just came out in Breakers of Shadow. That card's really good. You only pay 1,500 life points to negate a summon or monster effect. Solemn Warning's also really good. It's similar, but you pay 2,000.
And then Bottomless, staple card, just like even Grand Horde of the Heavens.
Yeah, that card's also really
it's really good.
Mirror Force is another one of my favorites too.
Or Dimensional Prison.
They're also coming out with a lot of other Mirror Forces.
Yeah.
Quaking Mirror Force just came out. Storming Mirror Force.
Even if you want to, you can play Torrential Tribute.
Mm-hmm.
Twin Twister is coming out as well for spells.
Yeah, that card is also really good. It can destroy both Pendulum skills just by discarding one card.
And still a quick play, so very good.
Definitely.
Very good. Now, if you've decided the archetype, there's
an engine
and the engine, you kind of put them together. The first thing you want to do when you're building a deck is you want to take the best cards from each deck, or the deck in general,
for the archetype,
or for the archetype,
and just put it into your deck.
Put it together. So, like, if you're building, let's say you're building a Fire Fist deck,
mm-hmm.
all right. You want to definitely make sure you've got those bears, you got the gorilla, you got the dragons, you got the wolf barks, you got all your fire formations such as the Tenkis and the Tensus. Tensen, my bad.
Well, both those cards are in, so
both those cards though.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then you from there, if you're satisfied with the amount of cards you have, you want to put all the staples you can fit in.
Usually, builds consist of 20 monsters, 10 spells, 10 traps. That would be a standard 40-card deck, but you rarely actually see that ratio. People are often now playing maybe either a few more or a few less monsters, and then sort of fitting in like the spell and traps according to how many monsters are being played.
I know for me personally, I tend to play only 8 traps. I tend to play 8 traps and upwards between 12 to 14 spells.
Mm-hmm.
And then for monsters, it varies between 18 to 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, the deck could be something different. Like the deck could
it also depends on the deck too.
Like
right?
Infernoids, I know you're playing way more. You're not even playing any traps.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing all spells and way more monsters. You're playing like 23 monsters and 17 spells.
Yeah, exactly. Like traps, sometimes in decks you don't even need to play traps. Right?
Yeah, it varies. So you got to look at the deck itself and what you want. Also, when it comes down to deciding the deck, it comes down to your play style. If you want to play a deck like Infernoids, for example, that's a more kind of a more luck based.
Yeah.
Then you want to build
and
a deck.
requires some setup too.
Yeah, or it requires setup.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play a deck that's more linear, like Tellarknights or Constellar, that's just, you get certain cards, you drop them, and then you make the seed monster, right?
Yeah, very straightforward.
Those decks are very straightforward. Those decks are very good for beginners too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the Tellarknights because they're kind of expensive. But if you want to get a deck that's pretty linear to start off, because you start learning the game, things like that, right? And then you can start getting into stuff that might take more setup.
Yeah,
and things.
Start finding like new archetypes, better archetypes that you want to invest in, and then you just figure out the build you want, and then just put it together. And you just have to keep testing those decks and just tweak it here and there. Like maybe you added a card you don't need, and you might need to switch it with something else. But that's just how deck building goes.
Yeah, and it's also about trial and error, because like a lot of times we build decks and we test them, we try different cards, take out certain cards. It's all about finding the right way the deck clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe you'll add 2 engines and you think they'll be good, and then they don't end up clicking, but then you choose a different engine and it just brings the deck up way better.
Exactly.
So it's all trial and error too. Like once you've gotten
it just takes practice, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Once you got the mindset, once you got the deck and the different ideas, the different builds, and then once you've realized and you know exactly where the deck's going to go and what you want to do, because sometimes when you're building a deck, you'll focus on a certain thing. Like, do I want to Exceed summon? Do I want to Fusion summon? Do I want to Synchro summon? And which way you'll build the deck to which way it can make it faster.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, hope this guys helped you. That didn't make sense. I hope
it helped you.
We hope this helped you. Well, remember to comment, like, and subscribe.
And we'll see you next time.